everybody, I'm Ethan. I may be getting played like a puppet, or it may be my free will. That is the topic today.
Ooh.
Is God, actually, is it determinism or free will? Are we determined, is everything predestined, or does God let us have our own choices? Very interesting topic.
Big topic.
Boy, if determinism is true and you believe that, you better stop having all your theology debates.
I know,
Because if they're destined to,
determined.
if they're determined to believe what they believe, then there's no use in trying to change their mind.
Yeah.
None.
They're part of the unelect.
So all three of us here are free will supporters.
Of course.
100%.
I am, but I am a determinist in some ways.
Believe that too, brother. I do.
Mm-hmm.
Which way are you?
I take a balance of both. I mean,
Like all things, it's gray.
There are some instances where God hardens Pharaoh's heart, for example, or does this. I mean, there has to be some sort of control that God has because he is supreme. He does have control. He allows us free will. He doesn't have to, but he allows us. And there are certainly instances in the Bible where God determines certain events. So like he elects the apostles to do their ministry. Jesus chose the apostles. They didn't choose him, right? Or same thing with Paul. Jesus went to Paul. He said, Paul, I choose you to proclaim my name to the world. So there's certain that determinist aspect within the whole picture of free will, especially today we live by free will, I think.
Yes. You can't have love without free will, unfortunately.
Right.
So if you think God is love and God gave us liberty through Christ, then you can't have any of those things with determinism.
All right, and our atheist brothers and sisters, they say that, interestingly, right hand in hand with Calvin, that there is no such thing as free will.
Depends on the atheist you talk to.
It does, just like it depends on the Calvinist.
But their
And again, they shouldn't be
determinism-
debating with me if they
Right.
believe in determinism.
Their determinist view is based off of the fact that we are just biology and we are just molecules of motion. So we just react to certain things in the environment, so therefore we have no free will.
Right.
So theirs actually makes more sense than what a Calvinist would say, is that God, in his love and in his mercy, elects some of us, which would be just unjustifiable. But atheism is just us going by dancing to the, I forgot how Richard Dawkins said it, dancing to the music of our DNA or something like that.
Yeah, but unfortunately with that, if we're all just matter and pieces of matter act in a specific way, and then it goes on forward, blah blah blah. Mm-hmm. That's an oversimplification, because once you get down to that level, it's not as determined as you think. As far as we can tell right now. Mm-hmm. It's actually an article I sent you guys about that. What the heck was it? It was. I wish I would have prepared this before we got on this topic. I'll bring it up on the next show when I look it up. But basically, it comes down to things are awfully probabilistic at that level. So if there's probabilities, it can't be deterministic, because it's not 100% probable that this is going to happen. If it was, we'd have a theory for everything essentially, and know the future and past. And watch the show Devs. It talks about that.
Is that a film or a series?
It's a 8-episode show.
So a mini-series.
Yes. I think it's 8.
What about, would you agree with this statement, that every human being without the spirit or life of Christ is determined to be sinful?
Is determined to be sinful?
Without Christ in them.
Doesn't Paul say, and this is currently what I'm studying, and I'm a bit confused by it, so maybe you can help me out. Paul says, without the law I would not know what sin is. I did not know what it means to covet until the law says thou shalt not covet. Mm-hmm. So, and this is just thought process, y'all. It doesn't determine necessarily what I believe. But if we are to say that, if we are to agree with Paul that says without the law there is nothing to condemn us by, then can people who have not heard of the law be in sin?
Yeah, because Romans 1, 2, and 3, all Paul firmly, before he makes that claim, lays out that even if you were born without the law, you have the conscience that tells you right and wrong, and so we are all without excuse.
Yeah.
So nevertheless, my question goes back to determinism. Is everybody determined to be sinful if they don't receive Christ in them?
Yeah. Based on human nature.
So there is a determinate factor in our lives that we as Christians...
Loving your enemy makes no
sense.
No goddamn sense if evolution is working through us, or
Right.
if human nature is what it is. It makes
Right.
no sense.
Yeah. No.
Did you say goldarn?
Goldarn.
Oh, goldarn. I like that.
I didn't dress up as a cowboy, but I got a few words up my sleeve.
So I wonder about the determining factors of us as animals pre-Christ moving in.
Okay.
Do we have deterministic genetics, DNA, experience,
Well, sure thing.
historic
Sure
stuff
thing.
passing through us
Yeah.
that will determine what we are without Christ? I think so.
Yeah, of course. Of
Well,
course.
yeah,
I
that's
mean,
just DNA.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
DNA.
It's
It's
just
just
genetics.
instinct. I mean, if when humans are left to like struggling for survival, we turn right back into that instinct of survival by the fittest.
Right.
Why do you
And all
jump
our-
out and freak out when you see a snake?
Right.
Yeah,
It's
all
programmed into you. It's not
Or-
because your mom was scared of snakes. It's
Right.
because far back, snakes meant you die.
Yeah.
But,
you know?
but if you were to watch just any movie,
According to me
any
anyways.
apocalyptic movie, people just turn horrible, and that's what would actually happen because humans are not good.
Right.
We are inherently evil.
Right.
So, and that has to do with one, our fallen nature, but two, our evolutionary history, just survival. And we still have that instinct, but our lives are comfortable enough to where we don't.
So then,
show
would you
it.
alter your definition, and would you say this is true, that we are determined so long as we are carnal creatures, but when we become a spiritual creation, free will abides?
Well, that's why Christ is so important, because he's the answer to our
Liberty.
fallen nature, and that's what gives you the freedom to.
Right.
Well,
to
we are
choose
determined
properly.
in sin because of our fallen nature.
Right.
But, and yes, we use our free will that God gives us to accept Christ. So I think it's a mix of both.
Okay, so that leads us to the theological question that sits between Calvin and Arminius, and that is, do human beings in their fallen state have the ability, capacity to choose God when he calls them?
100%, yes.
That's
Yes.
an Arminius view. The Calvinist says none.
Yeah.
And therefore they have election, where the Arminius says even in the depraved state of the creature, there's something that says, I get to choose, and I agree with you.
100%, yes.
I agree.
Yeah. However, let me ask you this. Would you agree that unless God did call, nobody would seek him?
God,
Yeah, but
God
he calls us all the time.
Right, he does.
Anyway,
No,
so-
but if he didn't.
But if he didn't, like,
No.
yeah.
And we were left here without a God calling to us, no spirit, and we were just how we were born, we would be the apocalyptic
Yeah.
scene.
And it's hard to even imagine that, though, because he shows us himself through nature,
Through nature,
through
yeah.
everything. So it'd be an awfully bland world. It'd have to be a world of white everything, like
Yeah.
blank, no colors,
Right.
no, and nothing interesting happens,
Dreary,
Yeah.
gray, misery, white, or all white, or no.
or whatever. Yeah,
One constant rhythm, one constant sound.
yeah. Those poor aliens that live on those white,
How do they
washed
do
out,
it?
crappy planets.
No wonder they all have these weird heads
Yeah.
and stuff. All right, so we have, I think, concurred with some reasonable Christianity here. We don't go with the extreme polarized views. We say, hey,
It's
look,
right in the
Well,
middle for
and
me.
real quick too, before we end it, just to explain to the audience, the arguments against Arminianism is that okay, but then we're getting saved by our works, right? That's what they're saying. And then if God only calls His elect, the argument is okay, then we don't have the freedom to choose Him, and then we don't love Him anyways, and
Right.
we're
Yeah.
just puppets.
yeah.
So
Articulate what you were saying, which we've talked about before, where unless you have freedom, you really can't love.
Yeah.
yeah, there's no way to love because you can't. Like okay, if oh what the heck I was talking to my fiance about this, about love and choice. If there's no free will and you are just stuck with somebody, let's say you're the only two people on earth or whatever, and you're stuck together, haven't known anything else. If you don't have a choice, there's no way to choose them because there's no other option. So they can never know that they're the one for you in a relationship example, because there's no other choices. They're the only one. So how do you really know? You can't unless they have the option to leave.
So
unless
let me
you have
a-
the option to choose not to love, you cannot choose love.
Let me ask y'all this question. Does God, in our lives today, like we live a life, does God have a foreplan for us in this life? Does He cause people to die in our life to teach us a lesson? Does He cause this to happen? Or does he act more like a deist God and removes it and lets the nature of it all happen, and then helps us through that.
Well, it's funny because I think a lot of that stuff is the result of many choices by many people, of God working through them.
Yeah.
And that's sometimes they end up that way. But if you're just focusing on, like, let's say a car accident, for example, one way that I like to look at it is, okay, it's not God saying, okay, you're going to get in a car accident right now. I see it more like, okay, God is working with these two people making different choices, whatever it may be. They're making all kinds of choices. One little thing puts them 15 seconds back on the highway or 15 seconds forward, and they end up crashing based on those decisions, which is funny because that's kind of deterministic way to think about it, but that's how it is. God works in our lives through many different choices, and it's like, what, the butterfly effect or whatever? It all leads up to one little thing that's different could change it all. So
what I think is when I look at the grand totality of my life to this point, I see a plan. I see it a plan, because without this happening or without this happening, I would be here, I would be there, I wouldn't have gotten to this point. So I give God the glory. I say, God, you have been so good to me for letting me get through this and you being there for me and helping me learn from this. Whenever you have something crappy going on in your life, in that moment it looks bad, but I say, you know what, God, I know every single time I've been through something like this, you teach me something, and it makes me stronger as a person.
Is that the reason why? So that he can teach you, or is he causing? Is he allowing, or is he causing?
It could be both.
I think he's allowing and working through us, because let's say there's a conversation you had with him that led you in a different direction, then he'd be leading you that way, you know? I think he works with us individually through all these things, and it may look like a plan because we can only see one plan. We can only see what happens and has happened and to lead up to it. But we can think about, okay, what if I did something else? I'm sure God would be working with you all the way over here, you know, in that situation.
Awesome.
So there you go.
All right, we done with it?
Yep.
Whose turn? I like how I am the one who gets to hold it out.
Didn't I pick? Oh, no, I didn't pick. This is me picking. This one's a good one right here. Smoking cigarettes. Smoking cigarettes.
What about it?
That's
you wrote it.
It says smoking cigarettes.
All right. Next week on Cat, we're gonna talk about the wisdom of smoking cigarettes.
It'll be like that lady in the commercial that has like that hole in her throat.
Oh, it's called a tracheotomy.
I wish I never saw a cigarette.
I've been smoking cigarettes for years.
Okay. Here on Cat.
Out.